Hi there. Welcome to Bible/Chat. We are covering some conscience issues.
Yeah.
Chatting about the Bible. Oh, you presumed on what I was going to say, but
I'm
no.
sorry.
So we're chatting about the Bible.
Yeah.
But we are considering some conscience issues.
We are.
We've got through a bunch,
Yep.
actually, and we'll
Yep.
probably do some more. But today I want to do one that's very sensitive during the times that we live in.
Oh boy. All
And,
of these are.
Yeah.
but this one.
Again, I'm going to give this to you so that people hate you. If people are going to turn against anyone, I hope it's you.
I plead the fifth.
We are right now in America. We're in a time of COVID.
Yes,
right?
we are.
And so, because of the pandemic,
Yeah.
we've been asked to wear masks by the state. That regulation has come and gone, different ways, different forms, mandate, not mandate, regulation, suggestion,
Yeah.
public health versus law, all these different things. Lots of different sort of nuances to even how the state's handling that.
Sure.
And so what would we say to Christians on either side of the fence of that issue, right? The wearing of masks or the observing of regulations for COVID.
Right.
You have some people who say, hey, you're infringing on my civil liberties.
Yeah.
I refuse to wear a mask. You have people who are on the other side, or even on that side, who say, it's hard for me to wear a mask because I can't hear or I struggle to communicate well.
Sure.
And then you have people on the other side who are saying, why wouldn't you wear a mask? You should do it. It's right to do it. It's loving your neighbor to wear a mask. So you have people on both sides who are arguing over this issue.
Right.
Where would we fall in terms of that?
Yeah, and I think, as we were talking just briefly before, the fact that there's so much debate just shows not only that there's so much confusion from top down,
for sure,
but also that this is a conscience issue, a debatable one, a preference issue, a conviction issue. So I'll start with a practical example first. I would say I'm going to Target. Target's law, if you will, is you have to wear a mask indoors to shop.
To enter Target, you have to wear a mask.
And even if that wasn't a government rule, let's just say it's just Target's rule. From here on out, for the next 50 years, Target's going to do that. They just mandated that.
Sort of like Costco making you show your receipt when you leave.
So what would I do? No. And I would say, no, Christian, even if you are anti-mask, let's just make it stereotypes, okay? You hate it, you never want to do it, you try your best not to do it. I'd say if you're going to go into that store and they're asking you to do it, as a Christian, it's a good testimony not to violently, flagrantly, again, stereotypes here, right? Just say, no, I'm not going to do it, and just walk in. I would say, no, be humble. Like, you're going into their store, just like you're going into someone's house, or place of business. You're on their territory, and this is their store, this is their property, as it were. They're asking you or mandating you to do so. I would say do so. If they didn't have that rule, this is where the conscience kicks in. I'd say, look, you have freedom. If you feel like you need to wear it or that you should, do so. If you do not, don't do so. But if you're going to a store, and nowadays this is why, right? Because every store, I haven't come, and I've been in Arizona as well. I haven't come across a store where they said you don't have to. And even in places that were less restrictive, they still made you. Even when indoor dining kicked in somewhere first, I still had to wear a mask up until the point I sat down.
You get to the table.
And this was before Arizona had indoor dining before California did. So anyway, long story short, I would say, look, conscience issue, but if I'm going into a place and they say, hey, please respect our rules, just like I would go into someone's house and they say, hey, please don't use this bathroom. please take off your shoes. I'm not going to be like, no, I'm going to do what I want. No, I wouldn't. Out of love and respect, of just courtesy as a Christian, right?
Totally.
I would say, I'll follow. That's not a problem. No big deal whatsoever, And so this is where on either side, we need to be super, super careful not to be judgmental, not to condemn. We can have different opinions about these things, and the fact that there are so many different opinions about these things, again, indicates, hey guys,
it's a conscience issue.
It's a wisdom issue, not conscience issue, freedom issue. So we just want to be careful not to be devouring one another. I think that's if Satan is using COVID for anything, not that we have some prophetic insight, but we can see this in churches where there's so much polarization in this season for lots of other reasons too, but over this very issue. So be careful not to judge people, not just externally, but again, in your heart. From the heart.
Oh, that's so good. It's interesting. Paul says in Romans 14:13, he says, therefore let us not judge one another anymore, but rather determine this, rather judge this. right? If you're going to judge anything, judge yourself. And he says, judge yourself not to put an obstacle of stumbling or a stumbling block in a brother's way. In other words, if you're going to judge anybody, judge yourself and say, am I causing other people to struggle with these issues because of me exercising my freedoms? And of course, we want to protect the freedom, right? If someone says to us, I really struggle to wear a mask, we're going to say, hey, you have freedom. That's not an issue that you must do. If you have someone who says, I really struggle, I need to wear a mask if I'm going to love my brothers and sisters, then say, brother, do that. Please wear the mask. We would never encourage you not to. On both sides, we would say, hey, we want to encourage you to walk in freedom in those areas. Just don't judge each other. Like you said.
And this would go, because this is classified under a health issue, this would go into things like vaccines.
Totally.
Like if you're going to send that kid to that school and they won't allow exemptions.
Right.
I would say you're going to have to vaccinate your kid if you want to go to that school.
Absolutely,
I'm sorry, Then don't go to that school.
Don't go to the school.
You have the freedom not to go to that school.
Absolutely.
Right? And I would say that's where, again, we can easily judge one another for not doing it or doing it. And so we want to be super careful about that. And it's so easy to say, like, it's so easy to feel self-righteous about it because I think we're always looking deep down inside for the moral high ground. Deep down inside over lots of these different issues. And I think it took something like COVID and the pandemic to expose what was already there. This did not cause these sins in our hearts. These just became the circumstances in which those sins got aggravated and sort of exposed and released out into the world.
Totally.
So as believers, we want to show, by God's grace, a united front in Christ of love for one another, and just be careful at the end of the day not to bite and devour each other, lest we be consumed by one another. But use the freedom that we have in Christ as an opportunity, as Paul says in Galatians 5:13, to love. That fulfills the law. Love God, love your neighbor as yourself. And I know that's tricky. And I know there's lots of debate about this. I get that. We're not saying like we have all the perfect answers, but I'd say to the best of our ability, we want to follow the principles in the Bible about both the freedom of the conscience and also about love. Now, there are going to be times where we might be perplexed. We don't know what to do.
Totally.
Walk according to your conscience at that point. Don't violate your conscience.
So good.
Say,
That's great. So at the end of the day, the unity of the body is infinitely more important than issues like mask or no mask, vaccines or no vaccines, all these things that are now sort of top of mind awareness for us in the cultural climate that we live in.
Absolutely.
Good. All right. Thank you so much. Very tricky one.
Very.
Hope that's helpful for you. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a question into the comments, or you can email us at info@faithbibleoc.org. Thanks so much, and look forward to seeing you next time.